Hey everybody, welcome back. Tanner Garcia here. I know it has been like 30 billion years since I've uploaded a video, and I apologize, so please accept my apologies. I think what it is, I'm trying not to be too heavily influenced from other content creators, so I just want to be a little bit more original, or at least make something that I feel is my idea at the time that I come up with it. Recently I posted this picture, the thumbnail, on Instagram and Reddit and my personal Facebook page, and I had a lot of people that were surprised by it, so it got the reaction pretty much what I was looking for, the feeling of like, oh snaps, wow, what's happening here. But I actually had a lot of people ask me, hey, is your model okay? Was this photoshopped? How did you do this? So how I can understand why, but no, I didn't record my friend Claire jumping off a 6-story building. So I'm gonna give a quick rundown on how I made this video. I'm using Adobe Lightroom and Adobe Photoshop, and I'll kind of walk you through the process. I already have some of the stuff open, but still I can show you what it is that I did and how I did it. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So as you can see, we are on top of a parking garage and we are downtown, and she brought an air mattress with her. And so what we went ahead and did was set up the air mattress, and I stood on the level above her. I went into high-speed shutter and just got some action shots of her running and jumping. We went ahead and did some different angles, so I went ahead and went with this image right here, which I already have started. And then we look over here on this image, we can see that all I did was move over to my right to the edge and got the image that I was gonna have as the background, which you can see over the ledge of the parking garage. And I went ahead and set a self timer so that I could have myself out of the image as far as my shadow, and it would be easier to clean up the shadow of my camera and tripod. All right, so let's go ahead and click on the stars, and we're gonna work with these two images. Whenever I'm starting to work, as I always come over to my lens correction because I shoot in RAW, and I hit remove chromatic aberration and enable profile corrections. And then I jump up to the top and I hit auto. As you can see, it's already made its adjustments. All right, so once I got that done, I go ahead and right click and I go to edit in Adobe Photoshop and open as layers. All right, so once we are opened up in Photoshop, you're gonna have your two images in 2 layers. Yeah, turn off the first one, and your bottom layer, your background layer, should be the image of nothing else in it. All right, so that's gonna be your first image. The second image will be of your subject matter, whatever it is that they're doing. So at this point, what I do is I'll lower the opacity to about 50%. Oh, that was pretty cool. And then I'll just grab my top layer so I can see through it and move it over to where about I want to see her at. It looks good enough to me. And then I'll go ahead and turn my opacity back on to 100%. So with this layer selected, I'll go ahead and come down to the bottom, and I'll select add a new layer mask and make sure that that mask is selected. So then I go and I select my brush, and I make sure that black is chosen as the front color. And I'll make sure that I'm on a hard brush to start with, and then I'll increase or make sure that I have a large size brush head if I have a lot of information to clear or to paint over. And so what I'll do is I'll just kind of start erasing over, or technically painting over, masking over the top image. And in doing so, you can see that I'm getting rid of a lot, and you can already see the other image come through, and you get the idea of what's gonna happen with the rest of the image. It's just a matter of time and patience. There are other ways to go about doing this. Sometimes people use a green screen, depending on the situation that you're in, and having something that is that much of a contrast makes it really easy that you can just kind of select that color and delete it. Depending on what you're doing or how detailed you're getting, you can use the pen tool. I'm not as proficient with the pen tool as I would like to be, so I'm not going to show you how to do that because I'm not good at it. All right, and then at this point I'll just go ahead and zoom in to a section of her, like let's say her feet, for instance, and I will change the size of my brush head. Let me go back to my brush and go ahead and get smaller, and then just kind of get detailed areas around or get closer to her. And if I zoom in even more, and this is where it gets tedious, let me go ahead and zoom in some more. All right, like right about here. So I can make my brush a lot smaller so I can actually see it here on screen, and I can get pretty close to it, but that's not gonna cut it, because then you're gonna have this hard edge around her. You're gonna end up digging into her like that. You're gonna have a hard edge around your model, and it's not gonna look good. So at this point, I go back to my brush and I'll select a soft brush, and I'll just kind of go, and it takes time, like I said, but you just go and feather over where those dark lines are at. And you just literally have to do this for every part until you get the desired effect that you're looking for. And mind you, the more time that you take on this part, the better your image is going to look. I've seen some that just look really shoddy, some that I think might be jokes of people trying to do a parody of something. I don't know. Anyhow, so you just gotta kind of keep going. And as you get into smaller areas like this right here around her toes, I'm gonna go ahead and shrink down so that I can get more detailed areas of where I'm trying to get to, and then I can go ahead and open my brush back up again and just kind of keep going right there. And that's about it. You just keep going around and around and around. And then once I get up here to her hair, let me go ahead and go back to a hard brush for a moment, get like some big areas out of the way right quick. All right, so here we go. All right, then I'll go ahead and go back to my soft brush. And so there's some areas right here that around her hair, once I zoomed out, that little white edge that you see, it gave her hair like this glow, and it just looked odd. So don't be scared to kind of get in there and really dig in a little bit more to get closer to the edge. So like I said, the more time that you spend on this, the better the result's gonna be. And ultimately that's what you're trying to do, is to kind of give somebody like a, oh snaps, what am I looking at factor. So it's just a matter of adjusting your brush size and going from a hard edge to a feathered edge, getting rid of those little lines. You can start seeing the difference. I mean, you can kind of see it right there. I don't know how good it's going to translate over on YouTube, but anyway, so once you get that out, and let's go and zoom out right quick. Oh, too far. So you get the idea of how I got to this point. Now, as far as the shadow, what I'm going to go ahead and do is select both layers right here, and I'm going to right click and go to convert to a smart object. All right, so once you convert it to a smart object, I'm going to go ahead and right click and rasterize the layer. And once it does that, I'll just zoom into the shadow that I need to get rid of and select my spot healing brush and just kind of go over it a little bit, go over another little spot, and go over that spot, and take care of that little dark spot right there and that little dark spot right there. And then once you zoom out, voila, shadow is gone. Now from this point, you will go ahead and hit file and go to save, and it'll take the image back to Lightroom. So what I'll go ahead and do at this point is I will open up my crop and straighten tool, and I will go ahead and hit auto straighten, and then I'll bring in a little bit of a crop just to kind of get away from the edges to give the image an overall cleaner feel. So once you've done that, you can do any type of color editing that you want to finish up the image. One thing I like doing is coming down to effects and adding some grain. So when I use grain, it kind of helps blend in my images a little bit better, which is a little bit of a cheat, but I think it's all right because I like using grain on a lot of my images anyway. So once you're done, this is what I ended up with. And as you can see, let me go ahead and kind of zoom in. You can see that I went through and got everything. You can see the original image around from behind, right up front. Got everything in there that I needed and ended up with what I think is a really cool, interesting looking photo. So for everybody wondering, if you're watching this from Instagram or Reddit, like I said, my friend Claire is absolutely A-OK. And make sure you follow me on Instagram if you want to see a little bit of the work that I've done before that deals with levitation and, you know, this type of imagery of something surreal-ish. Also, we want to take a look at what I'm going to be doing, because I have a couple of other images that I have planned out to shoot that are involving the same technique, and I think they're gonna come out pretty good when I'm done. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and I get it up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted.